Automation in digital advertising, the good and the evil, brought to you by the Digital Marketing Podcast.
Hey Alex, how are you today?
I mean, after that sort of intro, I'm doing great now.
Yeah, I wanted to give you a proper introduction, Alex. The topic is very interesting today. It's one of the topics that everybody keeps asking me over and over in every call I have with them. Because, the truth of the matter is automation was already a big topic for the past 10 years, probably. But in the last year, with the development of ChatGPT and the equivalents, it has really like skyrocketed, right? And the reason why we did this episode is because our friends at Shirofune, they've been doing automation for 15 years with their tool and helping people manage their PPC campaigns. And my thought was we need to talk to people about what really automation helps and what automation could create in terms of problems for people. And there are several topics, like we could literally speak for hours about that. But the first thing that jumps to mind to me is the topic of efficiency and time saving. The reason why I talk about efficiency and time saving is because when it comes to data analysis, I always like to break it down into three buckets. And I don't know what you think about that. The first bucket I see is data analysis. So conglomerating all the data, this data is eventually going to have some sort of meaning, but the conglomeration of data is very time consuming. Then there is a first part of data interpretation. This first part of data interpretation is what I call the data that you take action on, such as, oh, this time of the day doesn't perform well for me, or this SEO keyword really doesn't bring much volume, we need to change our target. But then there is a second layer of data interpretation, which is what you cannot replace with automation, which is the experience of somebody like you, Alex, that looks at that data and create the strategy. So technically, we are looking into pro and cons. The pro is we save a lot of time to get those first two steps, the analysis and the first interpretation done. But then there is the big risk of doing the second level of interpretation wrong, and that's why you need the skill set. So what's your take on like efficiency, time saving in what you have seen in the past few years in terms of automation?
I mean, I think like the complexity. I mean, I think I'd say like I belong to parts of the skeptics. Um, just from a point of view of, I think like a topic that we've sort of covered a couple of times is like PMAX and how black box this has been, and therefore I guess not feeling you feeling that you're leaving a lot of things out for risk, if you know what I mean. So I start with that where I'm being, I question things and I'm doubtful about it. Um, but I think additional to what I guess I'm being doubtful as well is that, I mean, we do a lot of, I mean, either data cleaning in CRMs, starting off with, because I know how dirty data can be in terms of first party data. We also do a lot of Google Tag Management setups and also understanding how complex today's world has become. So, but I think, like as you said, like if we are capturing the data in the proper way, and we've structured it in a useful, actionable way, automation is awesome.
Yeah, so basically the first step you say is that it's very important to capture the right data. And I agree with you, because if you collect the wrong data, the whole process of automation it's only as good as the data you collect, right?
Exactly, and I think it is very important to highlight the fact of collecting the right data, structuring it, and cleaning it, because not all data is the same.
Yeah, because there was something, Alex, that to me it strikes a lot of my attention. In the past 3 weeks, I've had a very big challenge with a client of mine, which was something that I've experienced a few times during my career. But this time, I actually relied on Shirofune to help me out. And what was the problem? This client did amazing, was spending $220,000 a month. CPA was at the level that we wanted it to be. All of a sudden, a competitor entered the market, and this competitor did not care about the cost per acquisition. They started spending 3 times the amount of money we were spending, and they were bidding 3 times as much to show up higher. So the clients start seeing a decrease in their spend and an increase in the cost per acquisition. Now, solving the problem is a data driven process. I need to go ahead and take all data points, and on a daily basis, I need to try different budget levels, the different campaigns, and different CPA levels. That is an impossible undertaking for one simple reason. I lose control on target CPA because of the many variables that compose it: time of the
Yeah.
day of the week, devices. So when it came to that, I was like, let me try this approach. We should let's automate budget and bidding. It was very interesting what's happening right now, Alex, because as I'm increasing the CPA target from 60 to 65 to 70, my conversions are going up and my cost per conversion is going down, which brings me to a dynamic that wasn't a problem up to not too long ago. I spoke with Google not too long ago, and they were telling me, Rocco, when we suggest an increase in target CPA, it doesn't mean your cost per acquisition goes up. It means that you're willing to show up for more competitive auctions, aka position one. But what happens is that now the user that clicks on my ad converts at a higher rate, my cost per conversion goes down. So now I brought in the mix position on Google, I brought in the mix the budget, bidding. I brought in the mix time of the day of the week. To me, what I'm saying is the piece of collecting the data, you're absolutely right. No automation can collect the data for you. That needs to be a guy like Alex or a guy like Rocco strategizing about that. The part in the middle, that's a waste of Rocco and Alex's time, in my opinion, because what I'm thinking about is why does Alex needs to spend time looking at time of the day of the week when that information is real time? Alex doesn't have enough hours in the day to do that. But the part after that is fundamental for a guy like Alex and Rocco to intervene. So I do agree with you. The efficiency and time saving happens in the middle part. But again, the middle part, the automation, is only as good as the first part, which is data collection, which kind of like, I would say in SEO is probably also very similar because although SEO doesn't have a paid component to it, obviously, the first step of SEO is optimization based on performance that you collect through data. So at the end of the day, the data collection piece, whether we like it or not, it becomes quintessential to success, right?
I mean, I guess simplifying it is almost based on objectives, and depending on what objectives you might have in terms of the user. Um, I mean, either as you said, like the position, meaning ranking number one, willing to take the risk and pay a bit extra in CPC to see if you convert higher based on the data that you're plugging it in to actually lower the cost per acquired
User, yeah.
acquired customer. So I think yes. I mean, what I want to get to, I think. What I want to get to, I've lost my train of thought. But yes, I think like there is some comparisons to how SEO and paid are sort of the dynamics are working. I think the beauty though with paid, and if you can automate a lot of this a lot faster, is that you get a lot faster response. SEO, why a lot of companies and individuals are giving up on SEO is because it's this marathon race, and you put certain bets on certain keywords, but you only start materializing those in 6 to 12 months versus
I think the
paid.
problem with SEO is that, the world is running out of patience, meaning people want instant gratification, which is usually a killer for every business, right? Like instant gratification, aka paid, but paid can help you, but the customer from organic are usually of much higher value for a business. And I'm a paid guy and I'm the one saying that, I'm aware of that, But I think the problem of instant gratification, particularly during tougher economic times, can be like a little bit problematic. But Alex,
But I guess I wanted to just I
yeah,
guess add to that. I mean, if you have your data right, because I think there's a lot of people now like paid is not working 100% any longer. Um, and it's basically the one that pays the most that gets the most, but that doesn't sort of deliver conversion. But if you then trust sort of the process, data collection, having a clear, strong sort of user experience of the website or app, um, that will serve the need of the user that you sort of targeted in on, because that's what you've literally told the algorithm, that this is what I'm after, this is whom I serve, and these are the ones that have been buying from me before. So it's like it's a very and you have like almost like the snowball effect that constantly improves.
yeah, the kind of like, the whole point where we were chatting privately about also Shirofune was that me personally, I feel that there is so much data to analyze that you kind of get lost into that data and lose the bigger picture. And that's a very big risk in digital marketing, particularly when it moves as fast. But there is another component of automation that it's funny. I did a test with a client, Alex. This client has email marketing as one of their biggest components for generating revenue, and they were, when they contacted me, they were not as happy about the response rate. They wanted people to respond to their email. So I brought up an idea. They were very skeptical about that, but I was like, what if I give your emails to an AI, and I asked the AI to rewrite this email making people want to reply? They were like, no, we have great copywriters. I was like, yeah, your copywriters are great, but let's ask the machine. Eventually we did a split test. I convinced them 10% of the emails were approved to be sent to this test. Alex, open rates and reply rates were through the roof. Through the roof. And that brings me to talk about improved targeting and personalization, right? Now, AI clearly is based off of data. So I guess they know what people want to hear, or better, how people want a concept to be phrased to be able to get a reply. So that brings again to the concept of people that are like writers, marketers. They become mostly higher level strategists rather than actually typing that email out. So, how have you seen targeting and personalization in your client set being shaped by AI?
I mean, I'm still feeling that AI is a bit. I guess we're still in such a sort of early stage of it, where unfortunately I haven't seen it myself sort of actually being fully rolled out with full effect. And I've seen AI being used, but in a very poor way.
Yeah,
Because and I think the I think there's a lot of dependency, or people are now all of a sudden believing that AI is not hallucinating, but it is. And you don't actually, if you're not like someone that knows how to write a really solid prompt, and then most likely pass it by a copywriter to at least validate and ensure that it actually is very solid and it's you as a brand, it will shine through that AI wrote this. And so I'm I believe there we have the potential. I haven't had the fortunate luck of working with any clients that they have their own bots where they're training a subset of data and to really make almost like a content generator, if one would like to say it like that.
Yeah, and I mean, Alex, AI has been used for years. Like, the guys at Shirofune that brought us here today, they literally are using a custom written AI for advertising for 15 years. So it's not something new. However, I feel that people think of ChatGPT and writing articles as the use of AI, and that's the farthest possible from reality that there is. Like, that's literally the basic of like AI. Like, you want to write a letter, it writes it for you. But for instance, I was working with a client that I don't know how, but for years, Alex, every time they send an e-blast or an email, they brought a line with the statistics in an Excel file, and there was one column that was called topic, and this column topic included 10 topics per email divided by a comma. And they gave me that file because I asked them, I wanted to do an analysis of their performance over the past 3 years. I got this file, and if I wanted to analyze it, I needed to figure out how each topic generated in terms of dollars. Like, I was like, oh my god, I'm never gonna be able to do that. In non AI time, I would have told them there is no way I'm gonna analyze that file. It was just not structured in a way I could have. It took me 10 minutes with AI to get the second table that gave me exactly what I wanted. Now I can do my job, which is consulting them. And that's where I think, people are often mistaken about AI. AI is not about writing a blog article for your website. AI is about saving time on complex analysis that otherwise would take you months.
I mean, I like to agree, but I guess it's partly splitting hairs. I think AI, generative AI, when you feed it with a lot of data points and ask it to actually analyze and come out with some results, again, considering that you actually do not know, how good the data that you're actually prompting an AI tool to break it down, and most like the AI tool that we that is mostly used still today is ChatGPT, and it might not take into account certain aspects of the non-buyer persona, and therefore you get a lot of data and spits out actions that may not actually be accurate because your prompt was inaccurate and you're not aware of that information. And so I'm, I agree, Rocco. I believe that and also would like to. I know that copy can be done to some extent with AI. We've spoken about it in the past, of at least somewhere between 50 to 60%, maybe, if you don't have it trained. Similar here, like, but you still need a human person.
But basically, Alex, what you're saying, and that's the part that I'm trying to get to, right, is that you need a person that knows what is doing before involving AI, and a person that knows what is doing after involving AI. Because, for example, in the example of the data that I use for my emails, I tested the same data on 4 different accounts to make sure I get the same result. That for me was making sure that the results I got back were consistent, right? Some people might do it once and don't check it. So there is this element. But this is exactly why I think, tools that allow you to manage certain aspects are so good, is because there is a person behind that makes sure that the outputs are based on a vast amount of experience in the field. So, for example, again, I mentioned Shirofune because we're talking about them, but the fact that it works is not because they have an AI that does the work for you, but because there is a lot of work behind those coding to make sure that the work that AI does for you is successful. So basically, at the end of the day, AI is only as good as the user that uses it.
Yep. That's, I think, the conclusion. And I think we started this entire conversation here in terms of, efficiency and time saving. But again, it starts with knowing what you're doing. And it's the same thing of knowing what the data points that you're plugging in to actually instruct the output. So, if, I mean, the classic one, shit in, shit out.
And,
Pardon.
and you know what's funny, Alex, though, that everybody's making such a fuss of automation, but automation has been used in other industries for far longer than advertising. And the prime example is finance. Finance has so much automation going on because it's a real time, at least real time until the market closes, right? Stocks go up, go down, people buy, sell. And they don't do that because they manually check every stock. Some people do, but the majority don't because they will never be able to do it at scale, right? So the fact that there is AI in the mix, yes, finance people don't go there and say, write an article about this stock. They don't care about that, Marketers, of course, they do care about the stuff, but in reality, the stock market itself has a lot of automation built in to take advantage of things that happen in real time. I never told you, Alex, but when I started my career in marketing, I wasn't sure whether to start it in marketing or in finance. And as I was analyzing what I wanted to do, I was like, you know what? There is not much difference between the stock market and Google AdWords. Everything happens in real time. You make a bid, you buy advertising, what's the return on your investment, right? So actually, marketing was 20, 25 years late to the game of automation. While in finance, when I was doing this reasoning 16 years ago, they already had this stuff in place. So I think it's a big fuss for something that is already existent, totally normal. It's just new to us.
I guess it's, I mean, I think what sort of created a caveat to it, and I think we're sort of almost sort of deviating away from the actual automation part, because automation is not AI. And I think like that's the importance.
Yeah,
Because I think we started, and just to clarify that there are clear distinctions
yeah.
between it. I mean, automation is ultimate. It could be a very simple API that sends information from one side to another, and if
From
those
A to
two,
B, yeah.
from A to B, and if A and B speak, B can send information back and act on it. So it doesn't have to be that difficult, but it still is. They need to be able to connect. You need to feed it the right information, and then we now have the luxury of entry level AI sort of at our doorstep, that we need to treat with some sort of respect.
No, and I agree. Like, I feel like it is important, that people, at least in my opinion, they need to start embracing it. Is I feel like there is no going back. This is there to stay. Now it's about learning how to use it for your advantage. And I do have a feeling that cost efficiency is a very big component here. Coming back to the example of that client that the sudden competitor entered the market, the first result that I saw as I was trying to fix the issue through the user Shirofune was the efficiency in cost and the increase in ROAS. It was pretty much immediate. And to me, I'm like, okay, how moving that into other segments of marketing and managing a business? Clearly, when somebody talks about cost efficiency with AI, they immediately think about firing people because the machine does more. My mindset is not firing people, but making their work more efficient because it helps them to get better results. So do you think that like a big part of this fear of AI is because people think they're going to be replaced? Because my point of view is that if you are good at your job, like for example, you are great at your job, Alex, right? I'm not gonna ask a machine to tell me what they think about something. I'm gonna ask Alex, but I do not mind if Alex saves time to gather the information, analyze them, and spends more time thinking about my account, because that's what I'm paying him for. I'm not paying him for this.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean it. I mean, the fear of being replaced um, is. I mean, I think it always comes when when change is happening, and fear means the unknown. Unknown means also what is being brought up, particularly in media, are scary stories of being replaced, this and that. But I think we can we can certainly sort of see already that we're pretty far away in sort of that aspect, at least from an AI point of view, and then someone setting up the automation for you and to actually have that sort of sorted easily, because it's not good enough. But yeah, I think what this is bringing us though is that maybe instead of working as a massive team, you narrow down your team and work a lot more efficient, because now all of a sudden you actually have tools instead of having, say, a junior or an intern or this and that. You actually can rely on efficient like automation setups, not just for bidding but also across the organization. You can use AI to automate some parts of it, but then you still need smart people to decide or tweak it even further before before it goes down the wrong way.
Yeah, no, and it makes a lot of sense. Like, to the point, still to the example of the client that the competitor entering the market, AI does not know a competitor enter the market being aggressive. Like, this is an analysis you do with your own eyes, start looking at auction insights, and you realize that. So you are actually the one putting together the dots. Now, the instrument to which you answer to the problematic could be AI, but it's Alex who made the analysis. But Alex, this brings me to another interesting aspect, which goes from paid to writing to SEO, which is scalability. It's like, I feel like, scalability is a problem that every business has. You grow, you have a problem scaling up because you cannot hire people as fast, or you cannot find as good of people as fast. Or if you are a business that sells a product, scalability also means being able to predict how much more product you need to buy given the growth in demand. And not everybody is an expert at that. Imagine a mom and pop shop. They do a store, it starts selling. How do they know about supply chain, right? They learn it as they go. So I feel one of the big advantage of AI that it can help, no matter what kind of business you have, being scalable. Uh, being scalable or scaling the right way. What do you think about that?
I mean, scalability or growth sort of is equivalent of the same thing. Growth, at least from small businesses to bigger businesses, often costs a lot of money because everything that you sort of involve. It might be supply chain. It might be, I mean, it might be hiring new people, hiring consultants. It will be a whole new organization. You need to start spending more money on paid or SEO for that matter. So I think there's a lot of companies that stay away from actually scaling because of that. But I think with these type of tools, Shurafuna, for example, simplifies things so you can run things very efficiently across a multitude of channels without actually physically needing to actually log in to them.
Yeah.
And I mean, for that fun matter, like, i.e., if you do meta advertising. You don't have to log in and see where's that thing that you sort of knew was there yesterday is no longer there, and you need to sort of spend half an hour trying to find that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think it has incredible opportunities in terms of that type of scalability, for all the reasons that we've spoken about also, but the risk, it saves time. You can personalize it. You can save a lot of money because, I mean, you're spending more money, but you're making more money. So your cash flow is improving, I guess, to be accurate. But yeah, I mean, I'm very interested to see sort of where we're going in sort of this world.
Yeah, something that I always tell people, Alex, that I do, because I was speaking to a couple of friends of mine and they wanted to know some of the script I was using. So I screen share with them and they noticed that every time I was speaking to the I was using the word please, please. And they were like, why are you using the word please? And that's just me. I always ask please to anybody. And I guess I was asking it to the machine. And I realized, well, maybe jokingly I said it, but I don't know how jokingly. I was like, you never know what day this AI is gonna be my boss, so I better be nice to her or to him. So ever since, I always ask please when I write a command. Like, you never know.
That's funny, eh?
Yeah, no, like, at least if it has a memory, it will know I was very nice to them and please and thank you. But Alex,
I mean, clearly at the moment, considering that you're training it, you're trying for it to be very polite towards you.
oh, I wanted to be polite to everybody. That's my rule number one in business, is being polite. Like, there's no reason in being rude, no matter if that's your employees, your clients. Be nice to everybody. That's it's always happier mood. But Alex, I want to quickly look into SEO, right? Because when somebody thinks of SEO and AI, right, they think about writing. That's all they think about, right? But there is not really a very good way to automate much more than that. Do you think in the future there are other aspects of SEO that AI could help with? And maybe it's an analysis of the website, maybe it's, I don't know, improvements of product description, but it's all writing. Like, do you think there is any other thing that is still something that will emerge in the future?
I mean, we haven't spoken about. I mean, you're now talking about sort of that side of content. I mean, we have images already being sort of done again, and which is also then being used for SEO purposes. So I mean, there are a multitude of facets that are being added for that. I mean, one is also now being able to start playing with sound. So you all of a sudden you will be able to improve a lot on that side as well, and maybe your website will be a lot more interactive from that aspect than just reading and writing. And you might have a conversation with your website or with the website instead. So, but yeah, I mean, I think at current state of affairs, and I think where we are, I think it's still analytics and content creation. Because again, we're just putting, an agent puts, or an LM puts words of the most likeliness sort of that sort of equation together, and then sort of presents that to us. But I mean, I think like already today, I think we can start sort of seeing what's the best sort of structure to a website for a user flow. Where should things be when you build a website?
Yeah.
There's a lot of tests also from a UX point of view, and where you can run things, again, compatible matching when it comes to various colors to improve UX. not just to rely on a designer and its experience. Figma provides a lot of these type of tools.
Interesting.
So I mean, what I'm saying UX is, again, it's not SEO, but it's part of the user's journey to becoming most likely a client or a customer or user of your service or product.
Yeah, no, it's very right what you say. Like, and to me, like as you mentioned multiple times, SEO is also something where it's very critical, the human component to that. You know that you can do a lot of data analysis, but probably that analysis of the person to be able to put the pieces together and scale up performance, it is needed. But that kind of brings us to the final thought of these episodes, where it almost looks like, as you said, there are good things and evil things about AI. That's why I called the episode The Good and the Evil, right? But it seems like the evil from what we are discussing is don't providing the wrong sort of information, whether it is data, wrong script, or simply doing it superficially, just typing something, getting a result, copying and pasting, right? So at the end of the day, like anything in life, an instrument is as good as the person eventually using it. And to the result of that, it is something that each one at their own pace, they might decide to use it, but make sure to use, if you use an AI, something where either you have somebody taking care of the backend for you, such as Shirofune, or if you are using tools like ChatGPT, make sure that you are feeding it with the proper information. Context is so important when using those tools. uh, does it summarize, Alex, the what we have discussed for the past 40 minutes?
I mean, yeah, I mean, yes. I think we've sort of deviated again from a bit from the automation topic, but with a mix of AI to try to sort of improve how automation is being used. But I mean, the current fallacy of I think why there's a lot of people starting using AI, but there's a huge churn once you've started using it, is exactly what you're saying. Um, it's extremely difficult, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort um, to put in the right information to get the right quality information out.
Yeah.
And we've now spoken a bit about, we touched on the phases of data. We sort of mentioned the word of sort of content, but you still need the right appropriate context, ultimately knowing sort of what you're trying to accomplish, or the intent that you're trying to drive towards. Um,
Yeah, so it
so
seems it's a nice model: data, content, and context. There you go.
yeah, it's very, yeah. I guess, like, yeah, that's a good one. CDC.
Yeah, see, every now and then we come up with good things, Alex.
Yeah, but I think, like, what one thing that we haven't really spoken about is one of the negatives is, i.e., there are certain periods around, say, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and say election time, which is coming up in the US relatively soon.
Yep.
You know, you relying on historical data to predict the future um, will be very difficult in these times, because
Unless you give the context.
context, but also the CPC rates, etc., all of a sudden explodes,
Yeah.
and you're stepping into a period where the algorithm, AI, and automation sort of setup will be a bit dysfunctional, and will actually most likely lead you down some really bad avenues that will
But
turn
that's
out to
why
be
you
costly.
need somebody like Alex taking care of data, context, and content.
Or someone like you, Rocco. Yeah, I would actually feel better with you sort of leading the path, eh?
That means you don't have enough data, my friend. But Alex, one more thing before I forget, since Shirofune was very nice to us, guys. That's their website, shirofune.us. If you guys want to try their PPC management software, they're offering 3 months for free. It's a very good tool. I use it. Alex uses it. You guys know we're not gonna push too much on you in our episodes, but they were the reason why we did this episode. We were talking about them, and we were like, we should talk about data automation. But with that said, Alex, thank you so much for joining me today again. I'm going to get ready for my trip to New York next week, and we have a good weekend.
Yeah, and I'm getting ready for my trip to summer Europe.
Yeah, from winter South Africa to summer Europe, there's gonna be a big change.
Fingers crossed. At the moment, it's warmer in winter South Africa than in summer Europe. So
And that's because
hopefully,
you don't know me then, my friend.
oh, yeah, I know. Anyway, Rocco, you have a lovely day, and we'll chat soon. And
Sounds good.
everyone out there, I mean, if you have any topics that you would like us to sort of dip our toes into, please let us know. Just shout, write us directly, write on the thread. I mean, you know where to find us. You see our LinkedIn profiles.
Yep,
Happy to
and
cover it.
have a good rest of the week, everyone. Thank you so much for listening in. Bye bye.
Ciao.